Hi guys! I have a pretty cool video for you today. A lot of you probably know this already, but the officially licensed version of Journal 3 came out about a week and a half ago. I finally got my hands on my own copy, obviously, and I love it to bits. I'm going to review this for you today with as few spoilers as possible. I'm going to try not to spoil anything major for you guys because I know that some of you might not have it yet and you don't want it to be spoiled for you if you haven't already been spoiled by the internet. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys today. I'm going to give it a fairly quick review. There wasn't that much that I didn't like about it, so that'll be pretty easy. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the book itself. It is quite thick, as you can see. I wasn't actually expecting it to be this thick. There is a lot of stuff in here. It's really good. The dust cover, I guess, isn't really my favorite, but it does its purpose. It's just there for blurb purposes and to keep the actual cover nice. So, I mean, you know, I don't really have any qualms with it. So the actual hardcover is pretty true to show. In fact, it's like exactly true to show. Obviously, it should be. It's really cleverly textured. I really like this. The red section feels different to like this grey torn section. The gold sections feel different to like the rest of it. It's really cool. It's got the little runes and symbols and stuff on the back. It's really neat. I like it a lot. The spine looks nice and pretty. It's obviously really well made. I ordered this through Amazon and it came in a cardboard box with like no other padding. It hasn't been damaged at all. It's like pretty much in perfect condition. So this is good. And it's got a nice little ribbon bookmark thing in it, so that's kind of cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is the information in this book. I'm not going to go too deeply into this, but just a few things that I noticed or that I enjoyed. As I said before, it is a pretty thick book. It's thicker than I was expecting it to be. I figured that it would be pretty big, but this is, I think it's like 300 and something pages, I think Alex said, so that's a lot. Obviously, there is a ton of new information in here. There's so much new stuff about the weird creatures and objects and things in Gravity Falls, which I love. I love hearing more about like the lore and the nature of this weird little town. We actually learned quite a lot about Fiddleford McGucket and his involvement in Ford's project, which is really cool. I'm really happy that we got to learn a bit more about him. We did see a little bit of it in Society of the Blind Eye, of course, but it was cool to see a little bit more about him from Ford's perspective and just his scope of involvement in the project, so that's really cool. We learn a fair bit more about Bill and Ford's relationship and the whole muse and student, I guess, relationship that they had going on until everything fell apart, obviously, which, I mean, was kind of cool. It was also really sad when you read it because, like, you know how it's going to end. You know that it's just a huge disappointment and it's going to end in this horrible thing that he needs to fix. It's sad but also really exciting to read at the same time because you get to follow along from the very start of this partnership that was doomed to fail from the start. The first half of the journal obviously is written by Ford, but what I found really cool was that just occasionally on like, you know, 2 or 3 different pages, there's like these little additions from Dipper and or Mabel, which are really cute. There's one about Ford is like looking into the history of Gravity Falls and he's talking about the founder and he like writes down in a timeline like who the founder was, and Dipper's crossed it out and written Quentin Tremblay, man. Like, it's really cute. I just thought that was a cute little touch, like a nice touch. And it sort of gave it a bit more, like you got more of a sense of like the world around just this one book. Like just all the life around it is just really cool, and like the actual age of it and the time that it was spent in, you know, going from different people. It's really cute. I really like that. The second half of the book is written by a bit of a mix of Dipper, primarily, a little bit of Mabel, a bit of Ford, of course, and even Seuss puts in a page about Giffany, which I thought was really cool. I wasn't expecting that at all either, so I was like, oh, this is neat. And yeah, I liked, you know, finding a little bit more information about the things that we come across in the series. It was mostly like a bit of a recap, I guess, of seasons 1 and 2 in a very condensed way. But it was cool to learn about a little bit more about the things that we had seen and explored in those episodes. Speaking of that, we learn a bit more about the events following Weirdmageddon, which I thought was pretty neat. And we also get to see a little bit of Ford's experience on the other side of the portal, which was really cool. I really liked reading about like the different dimensions and all that kind of stuff. It was really interesting. And it was funny as well, and I just I really liked that, so that was cool. Now the last thing that I want to say about this, I've kept it spoiler free because there are some huge spoilers in this book. I'm not really going to go into them. There is some stuff involving the events of Sock Opera that we didn't previously know that are actually kind of horrifying. This is crazy to me because I thought we would never know, but Dipper's name is revealed in this book, like his actual name. I did not think we would ever know. I thought that was going to be one of the mysteries that was going to be left untouched, that it was just going to be like, oh, I wonder what his name really is. Like, I don't know, it could be anything. We know now. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, obviously. And I remember sitting there and reading it and just like staring at the page in shock for a couple minutes because I seriously did not think that we would know. And I mean, I kind of had an inkling that maybe we would find out, but I didn't think truly that we would. I mean, okay, I guess I lied because there is one more thing that I want to say. It's kind of short, but there was so much in this journal that they were kind of like callbacks, but not even really callbacks, that were just, they were really touching and sweet. Like Ford, you know, in like some little crossed out line mentions like thinking about Stan and how he's doing or something like that. And there were just, especially towards the end of this book, there was so much content that is really like sweet and touching and really quite emotional, really. And at the end, in like on the last page of this book, as I was reading it, I almost teared up, honestly. It was just a really nice way to wrap up the journal, especially considering it's such an iconic part of this show. To wrap it up in the way that it was done was beautiful. So after reading this book in the space of 6 hours straight, or almost straight, it really, you know, and I've had some time to think about it too, just in the scope of like everything with the Farewell to the Falls art show at Gallery Nucleus recently. Just like everything that has gone on, you know, Cypher Hunt, everything, like all this stuff that was kind of building up to like, I guess the end of an era, but I don't think it's ever really going to end. I feel that way about a lot of things, but for this especially, it's like there were all these things that just sort of came together at the same time that, you know, with this to be like the last thing that I've seen in, you know, the last week, you know, the last thing from Gravity Falls that I have seen in the last week, it was like the perfect kind of end to this insane adventure. That said, I would absolutely read this over and over and over again. It is a fantastic book. There are so many like little codes and things to find out, little secrets, stuff like that, and there's so much detail in it. The drawings are beautiful, the text is like just, it's really pretty, it's like laid out really nicely, all the little additions from different people. So absolutely, if you are a fan of Gravity Falls, go buy this as soon as you can. I know it might be sold out in like physical bookstores, and it might even be sold out on Amazon, but once you can get a copy of this, please, I implore you, go get a copy of this, because this is fantastic reading, especially if you're a mega fan like me, I guess. Yeah, especially if you are really into the universe, the lore, and just the show of Gravity Falls, whether you are a child, whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult like me. This is fantastic, definitely. Go get it, go read it, stay weird.